We are live for day 10 of our Business Growth Action Plan Challenge. Thank you so much for coming on. I am Michelle O'Connor, your business growth strategist, and we have been going through for the past 2 weeks. We're now on day 10, talking about all the areas that you need to look on in your business if you want to grow strategically and also grow with ease. If you're new here, I help CEOs and founders focusing on women over 40 who want to grow their business with structure and make profit at the same time. And yes, both things are possible. We don't always have to be in chaos, and we don't always have to be rushing and trying to fight against the tide. Now, we have been focused on the different areas of your business that you need to look on. We started last week, Monday, and we looked at revision, looking at your environment, your internal factors, what you have control over, what you don't have control over. And this week, we started talking about goal planning. Just to give you a quick recap of what we've been discussing. And if you have missed any, they're all right here. You can go and watch the replay. I do encourage you to watch the replay because in the end, what you will realize is that each day stacks on the other, and it helps you to develop a plan that works for you. Now, today we were supposed to be talking about setting off targets. We touched on it yesterday, and I think as a CEO and a founder, you're running a profitable business, so you have set targets before. You know how to create monthly targets, annual targets, quarterly targets. So today I want to have a conversation with you about pivoting and listening to your numbers. Next week, we're going to go into drilling down into activities that helps you to achieve the targets. I wanted to leave today just giving you an idea about some of the other things that I want you to think of in terms of agreeing on the targets that you're setting. Now, when you look at the size, depending on the size of your company, you may have more than one product or service that you're delivering. I want you to trust your numbers. Numbers never ever lie. And if your numbers are telling you that you are doing very well in one particular product or service, it means that that is a product or service that your client base wants. Sometimes we are very emotionally tied to what we are delivering to the point of failure because we are not listening to what everybody is saying. And this is completely different from starting a new strategy, whether it's blue ocean, red ocean, you name it. This is looking at how you have been performing, making decisions about how you want to grow as you go into 2026. Now, when you look at your performance, I want you to look at the product or the service that is your leading product. That's what you're going to be leading with. It doesn't mean that you're ignoring the other products and services that you deliver. It just means when it comes on to your marketing content, your emails, your flyers, however you market and promote and communicate what you offer, this is a product that you're leading with. This is the product or service that's going to pull people in. And then once they're there, you can always feel free to share the other services that you offer. Because here's what we know to be true. We talk a lot about know, like, and trust. And I want us to keep it very simple and think about what your buying patterns are. How do you interact with persons? If let's take social media, for example. If you come across somebody's social media page and you decide, I like this one content that they have shared, what's the next thing that you do? You go to their profile, you go to their bio, and then you start scrolling through. And I don't know if you do this, but I do this. You look at the videos that has the most views, and then that's the video that you watch. And then you keep going, and you keep going down, and you go in that order. It's the very same thing for your product or your service. I want you to look at how you are performing, look at your numbers, then lead with the product or the service that's your best performing product. It means this is a product or service that we're offering that causes people to be drawn to us, or this is the value in the market that we're filling. Think about that as you decide on what product how you're allocating your target if you have more than one product or service. I just said the numbers don't lie. It's not about you guys. This is a change in what we wanted to talk about, because we can always calculate, but I think sometimes when we are emotionally tied to what we are doing, we sometimes cannot be objective. And that is why I wanted to have this conversation. And yesterday I was talking to an immigration lawyer. One of the things that we're talking about is the changes with immigration. Now, one would think, oh, you know what, I'm going to offer another product, or and I'm going to offer another service, but you can still keep the service that you're offering. It's just that based on what's happening in the environment, what you are sharing is going to change. You know, how you are communicating, the need you are speaking to. Persons may not want to come to the country, but those who are here want to stay. Let's shift the conversation and shift what you're talking about. So I want you to think about that. The other thing I want you to be aware of is if you offer more than one product or service, it's important that the market knows you for one thing. And if you are thinking of growing, you're thinking of diversifying, you're thinking of entering a new market with a new product. We spoke about that one day this week. I think it was on Tuesday. I want you to remember that you currently have a client database that you can target. So look into that client base and see what other unmet needs you can satisfy. Why am I saying this? When we set targets, we have parameters. You know, we say, okay, we achieved 100,000 last year. Let's go for 110 this year and see what happens. Or let's just keep it at 100. Let's not try to go any further. How does this impact what we're talking about in terms of setting your targets? Have you assessed your current client needs and see if you can satisfy them? Because your growth doesn't need to be brand new. It doesn't need to require you to go outside of your norm. You can set your targets based on what you have. So I really, really want you to use the information that you have when you're thinking of setting your targets for next year. Lead with that product. I was thinking this morning about Fenty, Rihanna's line. No, she started with her beauty line. She ran that for years. And then she have cosmetics, then there's hair and all those things. No, the thing is, Rihanna probably is a different kettle of fish because, she partnered with a company and, they're investors and everything like that. The thing is, you want to be known for this thing. When people like you and they trust you and they know they can depend on you for this one thing, everything else that you offer them is going to be golden. They will not even think about, should I be taking this from Michelle? Should I be taking this from, you can drop your names in the chat if you're joining. You would have built that with your customers and they trust you for it and they're just going to come to you. So I want you to remove your emotions as you're setting your target. Really, that's what I want to share. And follow your numbers, follow what the information is saying, listen to your customers, be ready to pivot. If when you look at the information, it's giving you something different based on what you had planned to do, be ready to pivot. It's just like in the pandemic, I would have shared, I was working in corporate, we had built our strategy. There was a pandemic, we had to go back to the table. What the environment was saying to us is, hey, things are going to be challenging for your clients. How can you change your strategy? How can you change what you're planning to offer so you can be ready to meet the needs of your customers? That's what you want to do. Because as I shared earlier, I can give you a template to calculate your targets. You can plug in your numbers and the formulas, divide it, and it's fine. The challenge we have is choosing the numbers for our target that is not just emotional, but it's objective. There's a balance because you can also sense that there's something that your customers need that you want to, a gap that you want to fill. But you also want to ensure you're following your numbers. So take the time this weekend, review what we did last week, review your environment, review any regulatory changes that are coming, look at what your competition is doing, look at the technological advancement, see how that is going to impact the services or the products that you're offering to your customers, and then review your previous performance for the year. Look at how you performed, look at your numbers, and then you want to set targets considering all of that information. And if you didn't get a chance to look at the videos, they are right here. You can go and watch the replay. We try to keep them. There were a few that maybe went 20 minutes, but we try to keep them within 15 minutes. So it's easily digestible and you have enough time to work on this with your team. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Just a little change from what we had planned on discussing, because we can talk about the whole, but I want you to remember, decide on working with what's working for you, and focus on your numbers. They never ever lie. And let's set some targets. And I'm going to be seeing you back on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions, please send them on. I am rooting for your success. We're going into week 3. We're going for 30 days. So we're going into week 3, and I'm looking forward to serving you more. If you have any questions, or if there's even any topics that you believe we needed to touch on, feel free to drop that in the comments below this video. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and do enjoy your weekend. Bye.